Well, hello, section 6 of the Wisdom Workshop on Writing the Good Life. I wanted to make this for you about reflecting, choosing happiness, and our developing of perspective. This connects with failure immunity. It also connects with our ability to decide more. To really, hopefully, move forward from this 7 weeks into something that is beautiful for you and that helps you feel as well as you possibly can, given our time together. So this is not self-reflection or choosing happiness, and this totally connects to the lettuce. So the not self is the tending to all the conditions around you. So for lettuce time, when you pay attention to everything around you that you need, that's kind of not self-reflection. And this is kind of broken down into reflection and discernment in order to choose happiness. Okay. We might think of learning at the top where we're in one place and there's a path leading us to that place. We are at this place, here's the 7 weeks, and then we're continuing on. We might think of it like a loop where we're at this place and we've kind of come back to where we are, or a combination of these two. We might also think about it as a series of loops where we're coming through into different lessons and coming back through into different lessons to come back to where we are. I really like this visualization as a mode of really considering what learning reflection is. Shane Parrish, one of my favorite creators who does the Knowledge Project podcast and runs Farnham Street blog, F-A-R-N-A-M Street blog you can look up. He says that education should incentivize honest reflection. And remember, quote, "It's easy to live your life on another person's scorecard. It's hard to live your life on your own scorecard. And it's likely that only one of these scorecards will make you satisfied." Interesting. This also connects to the common regrets of the nearly dead that we didn't go over, but it is the 5 number 1 things that people say they wish they had done on their deathbed, which we can look that up. I remember the ones are wishing that we'd be truer to ourselves, wishing that we've taken care of our relationships, wishing that we would have done bolder things when we had the chance to. In this mode of reflection, I wanted to remind you also that education, in the way that we hope to practice it, is an infinite game. Not school, where there's a finite game set, a finite ending point, a finite outcome. But real learning and education is about infinite progress, about teaching, enriching, learning, and creating. The goal of the infinite game is to come back and continue to play it and enjoy the process of playing it. Simon Sinek and James P. Carse was who originated this idea of the difference between finite and infinite games. Incredible stuff. I also, in the infinite game that I'm playing, I really like this idea of ego building, ego creation, ego constructing, and the craftspersonship of getting a good ego. We want to see, for example, we want to see ourselves as good. I want to be a good person. That helps me with my self-efficacy, but I never should see myself as better than anything in a kind of Taoist sense. So this relates to education and mindsets, growth mindsets, resiliency mindsets, and the voices we use to talk to ourselves. I hope as we move forward that we deal in questions, not answers, and that we practice the discernment of joy and the joy of discernment. Choosing well, what the Greeks called phronesis, or practical wisdom, may be the best asset in a rapidly changing environment. This is Sophia in action, discriminating with joy. And what does it mean to discriminate? What is joyful? We can give our discriminations and decisions themselves more joy. And we can fine-tune our attentional capacities for joy, not unlike a musician learns to appreciate or feel music at a deeper level. We're really working on our capacities for joy, to discern what is joyful, and practice the act of discernment with more joy itself. If you don't enjoy it, then it's not worth it. Along the way, we can learn to be more decisive, which means we're comfortable taking experiments of experiences that allow us to take small risks to help us choose happiness in a clearer and more careful way. Just do your best and let go of the rest. And lastly, that we're going to share, the last scholarship and thinking, is a more left brain approach on how to make decisions with mental models, again from Shane Parrish's work on learning. One, he says that we need a toolbox of mental models. I love this as the wisdom workshop, which is these tools represent different ways of thinking, visualizing, approaching, and making decisions. Systems to determine relevance of variables and outcomes. Wayfinding was one way of doing this, but notice that he's paying attention to what is relevant and what variables contribute to that and where the outcomes are therein. The other key part is that we can break a decision into different decisions. We can differentiate between different kinds of decisions. And the first main differentiation we should make is this decision reversible or irreversible? If it's a reversible decision, it's non-consequential and it's a two-way door. If it's an irreversible decision, it's consequential. It's a one-way door that when you go through it, you can't go back through the other way. And in that sense, you can walk around that decision in a 360-degree fashion to see it from as many places as possible before you take it, but it's not the same as a decision you can take and then untake. Obviously, you're going to treat the decision differently if it's reversible or irreversible, and noticing that reversible decisions are a lot easier to take and fail at, especially when you know that they're reversible. Second, you can break down big, full decisions into small, reversible decisions with different models. Maps, trains, circles of competence, wayfinding, Zen meditation, free writing practice, all of these form a different kind of metaphors to be able to break big decisions into smaller ones. And then how do we use these models to improve our learning processes? We already said that you can break a big decision into smaller ones, scouting, experimenting, and getting more intelligence, as a way of saving ego identification and anxiety paralysis with one particular outcome. We've done this through wayfinding and design thinking, iteration, and failing small. Before you make a big decision, you could ask, how would you describe the decision that you're making? Oftentimes, if you're making a decision with others, each other has unique ideas of what the decision even is. So it makes sense to take time to describe the decision that you're making, especially with other people. Second, you can ask, is this the decision we even need to be making at this point? It's possible that we're trying to decide something we don't even need to decide. You want to be really wary about focusing your bandwidth on decisions that actually don't need to be made. I know I've noticed that in the past. Don't make 1,000 decisions when one will do. It's from Jim Collins. Also from Jim Collins. Life at its best is doing meaningful work with the people you love. I picked this one because I want to just remind us that our decisions should, as much as possible, be rooted in the clear ideas that we have of what the good life is. Live as if you will die tomorrow. Learn as if you will live forever. Mahatma Gandhi. Quote, there will be a time when you believe that it's over. That will be a beginning. Wonder is the door to love. So in your reflection, as you move forward, I'm wondering, what will you take with you? What plans do you have that you want to put into work? How will you hold yourself accountable, which we learned this term is more about who will you ask to hold yourself accountable, and who will you offer to hold accountable? What would you put in your revised daily and weekly contract with yourself? And how would you assess your performance, if you want to, according to the goals that you identified? Make the most of it. Quote, "One of the few things I know about writing is this: spend it all, shoot it, play it, lose it all right away every time. Something more will arise, something better. These things like well water." Annie Dillard. And with that, you might want to revisit week 2, where we really clearly identified our dashboards for the good life, our work, play, health, and love. See if any of that has changed. You want to look at your work for week 1 on what you identified the good life as, and if any of that has changed, and appreciate the journey that you're on. Signing off, your learning adventure guide and companion in exploring the good life. Thank you all so very much. This is Sean, and I wish you most wonderful things. Reach out if I can help.